Okay, my tribe, hello again. I'm going to read this one all by itself, and I want you to pay very close attention to this. This is very important because this is what it's going to look like when bureaucrats, layers upon layers of bureaucrats who have promised one thing to the next layer, and the next layer takes that and embellishes it and promises it to the next layer, and that layer takes it and embellishes it and promises it to the next layer. And it shows you a comedy of errors. It's almost a comedy of errors, but it's not funny when people die in masses because of gross incompetence by people that have no business leading them or lording over them. And it happens time and time again throughout history. But this one story is very good, and listen to it quite well. It's Pedro Hursky. He was born in 1925 in Zhodovka village, the Sumy Oblast. Describes how the authorities came to search for hidden food and explains how his father managed to hide food in the forest, which saved his family during the Holodomor. Petro Hursky. First, they organized the collective farms. Okay? The socialists came along, turned into communists, and they started making communist-type labor camps called farms. Then they began to levy grain quotas. You will provide this much grain to the socialist effort. And as those numbers go up the chain, the local village elder says, we can produce this much. And the next guy takes that number and adds a zero to it because it makes him look better. Everybody else is producing this much, so I will produce this much, and I'll be better, and I'll go up the communist chain. And then the next guy, the director of the region, takes that and adds another zero to it because he wants to look good, and adds it up and up, up and up. And all of a sudden, at the very hot tippy top, it's an enormous number that can't possibly be produced. But that's what they expect, and that's what they hold them to, and so they drive it down. You will produce. And if you don't, there will be consequences. That's part of the tyranny of communism, is the impossibility of it all. For example, the collective farms first had to pay the state the levy. First and foremost, before you even eat, you got to pay your taxes. Then reserve grain for sowing so that there would be something to plant. Whatever was left was divided up by labor days. The more you worked, the more you got, I guess. This was in the collective farm because at the time of the famine, the collective farm was established already. They had already established collective farming, and they were trying to get the rest of all the kulaks to join the collective. But when this comedy of errors played out, and they were selling off all the grain that it wasn't even possible to grow that much, but they were selling it off to make money to grow communism. When there wasn't enough to meet these impossible quotas, then the lower tyrants, the petty tyrants, started taking the food from the homes and the sowing seeds for the next year. They took all of that, trying to make up these impossible numbers, and people began to starve. It began to be organized in 1929. This was planned, and when people couldn't pay anymore because there was nothing left, the authorities began to go around and search for hidden food. And it didn't make a difference if you were in the collective farm or an independent farmer. There was no difference. They took whatever they could find. They took whatever they could find to make up for the numbers. My father realized that things would get bad, and he hid grain, maybe some meat and some lard, in the forest somewhere. They didn't find it. They came with long rods, sharpened at one end, and prodded the ground, looking for freshly dug earth. They prodded the hay in the barn. They searched everywhere, but they didn't find anything. This saved our family. This father was a leader. He saw what was coming, and he took action. Understand this. He saw what was coming. Everything is clear. You can look down the road and you can see what's coming. It's coming, folks, like a locomotive, fully laden and unable to stop, going full speed ahead. We are headed down the road of socialism slash communism. We're not going to stop it. We're not going to turn it away. We may delay it a little bit by the next presidential election if we get through the tumultuous times that alone will cause. But we have socialist slash communists dug into every facet of our government. Our education system is so thoroughly socialized, communized. It's all they spit out, all this communist propaganda. And the children come out, these whatever they are. But you need to see what's coming and prepare for it, because it doesn't care if you're ready for it. It does not care. It's still coming, like a freight train, out of control. So heed the warnings, see the signs, open your eyes, look and see, prepare, prepare, prepare. Go, go, go. There isn't a lot of time left. God bless you all.